A lot of friends and familiar faces. All right, we're going to talk about digital health. We're all interested, right? Are you alive? Yeah, well, you better be alive. The other option is no good. Well, digital health is a simple concept, initially using technology to help improve individual health and wellness, but it's a broad and growing sector. It can go from everything, from wearables, gadgets, to ingestible sensors, from mobile health apps, to artificial intelligence, from robotic carers, to electronic records. Really, it's about applying digital transformation through disruptive technologies and cultural change to the healthcare sector. Well, to talk about this, we have a fantastic panel. Let me introduce them to you. There are 4, plus the moderators. I'm going to mention them first, and then we'll give them all a round of applause. We have Marion, Chalumeau, the head of digital and innovation at Novartis, Alexis, Sakallis, the regional director of the MIA BodyO, Rocío, Arroyo, CEO of Amadix, and our super winner from South Summit competition last year, Fernando, Ramirez, director of Merlin Hub, and to moderate this panel, a superwoman, it couldn't be otherwise. She's already been on stage this afternoon. She's the Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer of Catalyst Consulting Group, and she's Scarlett, Sieber. Let's welcome the 5 of them. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Rocío, hello. We're going to let Scarlett go ahead. Yeah? Scarlett? Oh, you okay here? All yours.
All right. Good afternoon. Let's get the energy up. I know it's been a long day, but we have some really exciting stuff to talk about this afternoon. So we're looking at what basically health tech and healthcare. So I think you have a group of incredible people from all facets and areas that impact health. And instead of them spending time giving their backgrounds, their names are going to be up on this stage. You can go ahead and look them up on LinkedIn and find more details about them. In the meantime, I think let's just kick it off and get into the heart of what we want to talk about here. So whoever wants to answer first, let's go there. But really, what is the future of health? And then what excites you most about that?
Well, I think the healthcare sector is in the middle of reinventing itself. And doctors will be able to work from home while performing long-distance surgery. And I think many of us saw it last February when a team of doctors from hospital clinic were removing colon cancer, and the surgeon overseeing the procedure was at the Mobile World Congress, also in Barcelona, but different location. The technology they used was 5G technology. And I think more than 140 million surgeries doesn't happen around the world each year because there aren't enough expert surgeons to perform. So I think this is one of the more important challenges we have in healthcare as of today.
How many time we have for this question? Because it's quite huge.
It is. Tweetable. We'll start there.
Okay, so at Novartis, the goal of Novartis is to reimagine medicine to improve and extend patients' lives. So we use science, evidenced science, and digital technologies to discover new treatments and develop them in order to have an impact on their lives and their quality of life. So I think that data science and all the new AI, data, big data, and so on are really giving us a new way of innovate in terms of R&D, a new way of engaging with patients and with customers, and also to increase efficiencies. So I think it will be my answer.
So data science is going to play a big role.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce on what she said about efficiency, because besides the medical technologies evolution that are offering many solutions today, we are still having and facing a massive global issue, which is the cost of the healthcare. And we expect by 2050 to have an increase by 50% in the healthcare. And I think that technologies and the startups will provide with a solution to fill the gap, because we cannot keep the way we are doing. The healthcare growth, the healthcare cost growth is going actually faster than the economical growth. So we are having a big issue there. So we need to be much more accurate and more efficient in the way that we treat weaker people.
Fernando.
What I think is that obviously people tend to think about how digitalization, all the digital devices and so on, and technology in a sense is helping improve and propel healthcare. I tend to think the other way around. There is a challenge ahead of the healthcare industry, which is that the paradigm has changed, and in a sense, this generation is now starting to live both a physical life and a digital life. We spend a lot of hours in front of a screen. Our brain is multitasking, and that will for sure turn into some cause of diseases in the future that not everybody is foreseeing and anticipating. And there is a challenge for the whole healthcare industry to kind of cure a digital disease, but you are physical. So that interaction is going to be a challenge.
So we've morphed a little bit into challenges, which I think is actually great, because you can't really talk about the future without talking about some of the issues now. The owners of the clock gave us a little bit more time. So with that, is there anything else before we start getting into more specifics from the challenges perspective? What would you say is kind of the one thing that is the biggest challenge right now? I mean, we know there's a lot, as with every industry, but if there was one thing that you would really like to tackle from a challenge perspective as it relates to healthcare, what would that be?
I would say probably the fact that patients are taking on a very active role in the management of their health, of our health. I think this is really something key, because at the end of the day, there are some groups of patients, like for example, patients with bipolar disorder. Now they have a pill with a sensor that tracks if they have ingested their medication. I think it opens doors to a completely new world. This is something called Abilify MySight. It has FDA approved a couple of years ago, and it allows not only the patients, also the physicians, their caregivers, to track if they've ingested the medication. And also for patients with chronic diseases, the Internet of Things, the fact that they have applications to monitor the digestive disease, as for example, Crohn or constipation from home, and you have an app at your smartphone that check your symptoms or check your medication and tell you if you should go to an emergency room or not. So it means with efficiency also to hospital, because emergency room visits can be extremely reduced with this kind of virtual nursing assistance in your smartphone.
Anything else? Any other big challenges that are worth thinking
I
about?
think for a corporation perspective, a collaboration. It's a key part of pushing the innovation all over the world, and I think that we need to find a way of collaborating with startups, but also with the scientific associations, with patient associations, so how we manage the collaboration to finally work together.
Yeah, it's interesting. Earlier on this stage, we were actually having that exact conversation around collaboration and the opportunities and then some of the challenges with that model. Being a big corporation, you have so many resources, you have so much expertise, but then working with startups sometimes can be a little bit challenging, but there's a lot to be learned on both sides. So let's get a little bit more specific. Marion, let's start with you. So if we're looking specifically at oncology, where do you see the biggest opportunities for the future?
Let's see, from the last decade, we've gone from pharmaceutical research based on traditional chemistry to now biomedical research based on more genomics stuff. So I think this is something that we need to manage. And oncology, finally, oncology care have dramatically changed over the last years, mainly due to new platform, innovative platform that Novartis is working on, such as targeted therapy, immunology, radioligand, all this stuff, gene therapy. So I think this is something that we need to really push for the benefit of the patients. And I think that in oncology, we have lots of different examples that we are using technology to improve patients' life. I can just give some example. For example, using AI for R&D, because you know that it takes years and billions to discover, develop, and launch a drug. And at Novartis, we want to decrease that by 25% using AI to really having a cost-benefit, a better cost-benefit, but also to optimize recruitment of patients all over the world. So we are using this kind of technologies. And we are using also virtual glasses, virtual reality, to prevent and to help patients during their treatments. We have new treatments, I don't know if you know, but gene therapies like CAR-T. It's a new process, it's complex, and patients are going through something very complicated, and having this kind of experience, this kind of understanding better the way they are treated, I think it's something that we can really bring to the patients.
Well, and if we just take a part of what you said, through AI, you're looking at reducing the time to go from idea to actual usage of the drug by 25%. That's a big deal. I mean, these are year-on-year processes, and so you're talking. I mean, the impact on people's lives is going to be incredible, because you see all these things, and we're getting closer to cures. But if you can enhance that by a year or two, then that could be a game changer. So that's very interesting. So just staying there for a second. So if we go to you, Rocío, when you think about the viability of this stuff, how are you thinking about producing the viability with diagnostics and really moving more and more to preventative?
Yeah, I think the answer, one of the answers is again, artificial intelligence will reduce this variability, but it's already reducing it. And if we look at MIT, they already are using a software or a model to reduce variability in early breast cancer detection. And when mammograms answer on false positives, there are a lot of unnecessary surgeries, not only in breast cancer, also in different types of cancer. And they are also developed their own model, and they are using this model. If we look at oncology, which is our field, what we do is early detection of cancer in blood, and we are able to tell the doctors not who is having cancer today, is who will have cancer in the future, combining analysis of molecular biomarkers, also with your lifestyle, with your habits, how you live, what you eat, and also your medical history and your family history. You put all these things together, and you are able to tell the doctor a precise answer about the diagnostics and reduce this variability. I think also in imaging, if we talk about diagnostics, there are some softwares, deep learning softwares or models, technology that integrate thousands of images of magnetic resonance. If we look again at oncology, we can see many examples when applications or softwares reduce this variability and help the radiologists to find a result about cancer diagnostics in less time and reducing their workload.
So let's stay on the preventative side for a second. Alexis, how can we move from a curative system to a preventative medical system? What does that look like from you and your perspective?
Well, there are several ways to do that. We see that today. I was talking about the cost of the healthcare today, which is directly related to the fact that we are in a curative system today. So it's much more expensive to cure rather than preventing diseases. So we strongly believe in the 4P medicines, which the 4P stand. Maybe some people here know about that. The 4P stands for predictive, preventive, personalized, and participative. And we strongly believe into that, and we develop technologies in this way. So the predictive side would be answering the question of lack of information. That's a massive issue today in the world. A lot of people don't know that they have a disease, or don't know that the way they are acting might lead to getting a disease. And even people, when they get a diagnosis from a doctor, they don't get an accurate information. In a lot of cases, they don't get the right information on how to be treated. So predictive means that we want an early stage, tell people, okay, you might get something, treat yourself. The second part is the preventive. So preventive means that as soon as we know the type of disease you might suffer, we will prevent, you might be suffering, we will prevent that by taking some action plan, like doing some sports, adapt your nutrition, have better sleep cycles. So the point is to improve the healthcare, not the healthcare, the lifestyle. For third P is the personalized. So now the action plans will be made directly upon your genetics, thanks to the new technologies. It will be, so the plan will be planned based on your medical history, on your environment, whether it's a professional environment or a personal environment. And last but not least, we need to push people to act and to do something about their lifestyle, because if you don't push them, I mean, how many people started to go in a gym and after 1 month they stop? It's because there is absolutely no incentive. So we need the patients, people, all of us, to be in the middle of this process and make them participate in their own health. So this is what we are trying to do, and this is we developed technologies, hardware and software in this regard.
So on the incentive piece, you're totally right. I mean, that's how gyms make all their money. They end up having so many memberships, and they know that usually whatever it is, anywhere between 30 and 50% of the people are the only ones who actually come on a consistent basis. So what type of things have you and the team been thinking about as it relates to incentives? How do you get people incentivized to take care of themselves?
You want a precise example, or?
Yeah, however you kind of think about it.
Let's say that, I mean, you're the employee of a company, and you make a plan with your employer. I mean, the employers now really want to take care about their employees, right? So the employer would say to the employees, okay guys, you check yourselves, you go and do some checkups, medical checkups, on a regular basis, and we'll see some improvement. When you see some improvement, you could be rewarded by tokens or by any, I don't know, currencies or whatever. Once you exactly the same way you collect miles when you take a flight, you collect some miles, and you can exchange them for whatever. It would be the same system. So you improve your lifestyle, so you improve your healthcare. So on the global picture, you will cost less to the society, I would say, because it's everyone's money here in the system. So you will be able to exchange those miles, those health miles, let's say, with anything.
So it's kind of two ways. It's in some ways some type of a currency, and then potentially, almost gamifying it as well.
There is a gamification part of it. I mean, we need to make this fun for people. I mean, this morning I was seeing a conference about video games, and it's the #1 entertainer factor in the world. So yeah, we need to make it a game. People have fun, so they do it.
Absolutely. One of the things that I love about this group of people is how diverse and broad your backgrounds are. So when you think of a conversation around health tech, you're probably not going to think about what we're about to talk about with Fernando. So you come from the real estate perspective. Yeah. How can the working environment actually impact people's health?
He was precisely mentioning that, which is if you want to make the employer absolutely sensitive to healthcare, you can implement a plan related to incentives and so on, but you need the facilities. At the end of the day, we are a real estate company owning in Spain 1.4 million square meters of office space. That translates into around 150,000 workers coming to our spaces every single day. They spend 1/3 of their life in our space. It's our duty and responsibility to make and create the proper working environment. Because when you go to a doctor and the doctor says you should sleep well, you should also work well. And that's our duty and responsibility. So although it may sound like not very obvious, we as landlord have now a responsibility towards our tenants in order to create this environment and to be healthcare sensitive. Which is, at the end of the day, something that is business related, because now the dialogue that we have with the employer, who is taking care of all the workforce, is that, okay, what are you doing in order to improve the quality of life of my workers while they're working every single day? Hence, we are embarked in a project like, for example, Merlin Hub, which is basically creating common services around a campus concept, whereby the environment is better. We create gyms facilities, we create good quality food facilities in order to be shared among all of them. We are sensorizing our buildings in order to test. That's a challenge also, the flow of people, whether people are happy or not, whether they feel comfortable or not, or whether they feel stressed in our spaces. So that's a challenge. Healthcare is not only related to medicine industry or to pharma industry, it's also, although as I was saying before, not obvious, something that affects many other markets.
Absolutely. So really quickly, let's go back, Rocío, to you. When you're thinking about you and the company, so we're talking about the impact of the environment on what you're doing, how is what you're doing affecting the way that medicine is interacting with doctors and patients? What does that part look like?
I think the interaction between them is changing, because a patient can monitor their health at home with chronic disease, with different disease, and can prevent to have a disease in the future. I think this is cost savings for everybody, and this is the reason, because of insurance companies in many countries, for example, in the US, Blue Cross Blue Shield, etc., they reduce the monthly fee of a patient if this person performs regularly, for example, a test for early cancer detection for colon cancer, this fecal test. So there are some incentives in performing this screening test or this test to prevent diseases in the future. I think this is cost savings for insurance companies, for hospitals, for everybody, besides improving the health and extending the life of patients.
Got it. Marion, we were talking a little bit about collaboration as one of your points. How is Novartis doing that? How are you thinking about that? So how do all of those people, you talked about the researchers, you talked about the startups, how are all of those people helping to impact kind of the future of health from you guys?
Yeah, finally, for us, it's key. We know that innovation and collaboration will be key for the future, and we are starting to work with startups. We are starting to make some open challenges. We need to have the team open to the innovation, having dedicated time to go here, for example, to see companies, to see what exists outside, and to really fit the technologies to the needs that the patients or the physician have. So we are starting to push people to go and to see outside. And also internally, we are developing a different mindset. It's an entrepreneurship program. We want people to be more open, to be more agile, more flexible, and to really have this contact with the external partners.
Awesome. So last thoughts from Alexis and Fernando. You can either both choose or one of you choose to answer. What keeps you up at night when you're thinking about, the future of healthcare? What keeps you up at night? Besides the cost, because that's definitely keeps me up at night.
Well, I mean, the main part, I mean, there are two goals here. I mean, to reduce the cost is one thing, but also it's just to improve the lifestyle of people and make people healthy. That's what keeps me up.
What about you, Fernando?
In our case, as I was saying before, whether the technology is up to speed in order for us to sense in a space how people are perceiving the space, the quality, and their wellness at the end of the day, which is not easy.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much, and thank you. And until next time, let's see what we look like in a year from now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.